Hello. Hello. Hello, everybody. I'm here to demonstrate the importance of the subject web and internet technologies. It is one of the professional electives for you. It's a small demonstration class which may be around 30 minutes to 40 minutes. I recommend you please use headphones. And in case if you are watching this video after recording it, then do not over jump the video. Do not use forward. Please look at all 30 minutes to 40 minutes video, whatever the time that I have spent for this video, so that you'll get an ability of understanding the actual importance of this subject, whether to opt it in your academics or not. So we'll start. This is agenda for today. These are the following topics that I am going to discuss. Syllabus in short, because the syllabus copy is already available to you. In short, I'll discuss. I'll take not more than 2 or 3 minutes in discussing the syllabus. And I'll tell you why should you learn this subject, what is the actual importance of the subject. Followed by 2 important architectures. We'll slowly get into the subject concepts. This 2-tier architecture and 3-tier architectures I'll show you, because these 2 are very, very important. Understanding these architectures are very, very important, so that you will get a complete idea of this whole subject. And finally, I'll end up this session with a small example. That example will also make you understand the importance of the subject. And we'll end up through a small conclusion about this subject. Right. This is the syllabus. In short, I've written the topics that are related to units, Unit 1 to Unit 5, U1, U2, U3, and these represents the Unit 1, Unit 2, Unit 3, and so on. In Unit 1, you are going to learn HTML and XML. HTML is a markup language. Hypertext markup language, the total abbreviation is. The purpose of this language is very simple. The purpose is that whatever you wanted to display on the web page, for an example, if you wanted to display text or an image or a video, so all this could be done using HTML. One important thing that I'm going to tell you about HTML is that HTML is maintained by a very big community called as W3C. W3C means www. W3 stands for 3 Ws, and C for Constorium. It's a very big community that they maintain all the updates that are related to HTML. And the most important thing about HTML is that there is no other language which is similar to HTML. There is, since from 1990, since from the existence of HTML to till date, there is no replacement for HTML, and there won't be any replacement further also. So every computer professional should have a minimum knowledge on HTML. The beauty of HTML is that it's very easy to learn, very interesting. The beauty is that it is very interesting and it's quite easy to learn. Like displaying some text on web page, images, and aligning them, rendering them, making them more beautiful on the web page. All this could be done using HTML. Inside HTML, there is a subtopic called as CSS, cascading style sheets. Using that, we could make the text more beautiful on the web page. But that is out of scope for our today's lecture. That you'll be learning in detail about HTML in the upcoming sessions. That means in case if you opt it. And another topic is XML. XML stands for Extended Markup Language, and you should not misunderstand that HTML and XML are same or similar. No, never. There is high dissimilarities between HTML and XML. These two are 2 different languages, and the purpose of these 2 different languages are entirely different. They stand for 2 different purposes. Okay, so there are no similarities between HTML and XML, other than both are markup languages. That's all. But there is high similarities between HTML and XML. The purpose of XML is that it is a semi-structured database. It's a text file in which data is stored in a semi-structured format using tags, so that the data exchange could be done very easily. That is the importance of XML, and XML is very important to learn as part of web technologies. Right. In Unit 2, you are going to learn JavaScript. JavaScript is a language that is based on Java syntax. And the most important point here I wanted to tell you is that you need not to know anything that is related to Java to learn JavaScript. Okay. So it's quite easy to learn. It's very easy. It is a client-side programming. The purpose of JavaScript are two. There are two purposes. One, user input validation. And number two, to create dynamic content on the page. So I'll tell you one example where JavaScript could be useful. I'll tell you one simple example. Imagine that you are registering on any particular website or a service, online service. There will be a registration form with the following entries like username, password, email address, phone number, and so on. In this case, while entering email, the proper syntax of email expression should be like this. A text followed by @ symbol, followed by some email name, that means any text, followed by .com, like that. For an example, some name @gmail.com, like that. Okay. In case if you provide an email without @ symbol, then you will be prompted there itself. I mean, you will get a prompt there itself saying that the user input provided by you is invalid. So whenever the invalid input is provided in that particular text fields, or it's a small example of email, but this could be done on any particular user input like radio buttons, stick buttons. Whenever your interaction on that particular registration form is invalid according to the rules of that registration form, then the prompt arises at that particular place. So this could be done using JavaScript, and JavaScript runs in the client machine itself. Okay, there's nothing to do with server side. It's not a server side programming. It's a client side programming, and it's very easy to learn. And the advancements of JavaScript are there, AngularJS and everything. Some advancements are there, but those are not included as part of the syllabus, because to learn AngularJS or JNode, jQuery, some advancements that are related to scripting language, then before that you have to learn a JavaScript. If you know JavaScript, then learning jQuery and AngularJS, these things becomes quite easy for you. All right. In Unit 3, you are going to learn Java language. So far, you don't know anything that is related to Java language. You don't know the object-oriented programming languages as well. This is the very first place where you are going to learn the Java language. Java language is very powerful language, and it's very important for every computer science professional should aware of Java programming language. I strongly recommend to learn this language, because even though you opt this subject or not, but learning Java language is more important. Because in the forthcoming units, Unit 4 and Unit 5 are based on the advanced Java. If you want to code something that is related to web technologies, then you should at least know the core part of Java language. All core part of Java language will be discussed as part of Unit 3. That means all OOPS concepts, how to create classes, objects, and inbuilt packages. Additional things you will be learning as part of Java language, that is Unit 3. And in Unit 4 and Unit 5, that is J2EE architecture servlets. Servlets are Java programs. They entirely depend upon the Java programs, Java syntaxes. Servlet is nothing but a Java program. So, but how servlet is different from a normal Java program is that servlet is a web-based program. It includes all packages and methods that are related to interact with the application server. So this is a server-side programming. Unit 4 and Unit 5 totally is server-side programming. In Unit 5, you are going to learn JSP. The abbreviation of JSP is Java Server Page. It is a server-side programming. What is the difference between JSP and JavaScript? JavaScript is a client-side programming. JSP, Java Server Page, is a server-side programming. JDBC is also a server-side programming, Java database connectivity. So Unit 4 and Unit 5 completely server-side programming. Learning server-side programming is very, very important. It's very, very important. In case if you wanted to learn PHP, rather than learning Unit 4, Unit 5 that are related to Java, that is J2EE and JSP, you could learn the similar things that are related to PHP. Similar things that you may be related to Python, that may be related to active server pages, ASP. So there are so many technologies that are relevant to Java, but as of your syllabus is considered, Java is taken into account because Java is more powerful than compared to another programming languages like PHP or ASP. That's why it is included in your syllabus. All right, this is all about the syllabus, Unit 1 to Unit 5, right? Why you need to opt this subject? What are the main advantages of this subject? it is very much essential as part of your career. When you get into a software company, if you get into a software company without knowledge on internet programming, so that means you will never be called as a software professional, because internet programming is such an important thing for your career. It is very much important that very good knowledge on internet programming will help you a lot in your career in software development industry. So as of software development industry is concerned, it is essential knowledge. It is very much essential. And point number two, it is very important for your campus placements. During your final year, you will come to know that this subject is very important because most of the questions that comes from this particular concept, where you cannot tell that this subject is not offered by you, because the knowledge of internet programming is very much required for software industry. That is the reason why it is very much important for your campus placements. All right. The third important point is that it is very important for you for GATE exam and other competitive exams, NET exams, and other competitive examinations related to government sector like BEL, BHEL, and IBPS specialist officers. For so many posts, this knowledge is very much required. So these are the important reasons why you have to learn this subject. What is the main objective of this subject? I mean, after completion of this subject, what is the thing that you are going to acquire? After completion of this subject, you will have an ability of creating, that means developing, designing and creating, that means developing a sophisticated, highly sophisticated web application. Highly sophisticated web application. There are so many highly sophisticated web applications that are in use today that we use every day. Some examples that I'm going to discuss as part of this presentation. So you have to use the following technologies. How to create high sophisticated web application? You have to use the following languages and technologies and tools that I'm going to discuss now. Languages are written on that particular slide. You can see what has to be learned to develop highly sophisticated web application. You have to learn HTML, XML, JavaScript, JSP, and JDBC. JSP and JDBC, I did not include servlets because once if you learn servlets, indirectly, servlets are very much, very powerful. They're very powerful, but JSPs are user friendly. Once if you learn servlets, slowly we'll get into JSP. Once if you learn JSP, you need not to know, you need not to worry about servlets. Servlet programming is not there as of now. Every developer who are related to Java, they do JSP programming. That means Java Server Page. But why servlets are included in your syllabus? Because learning servlets are essential to learn JSP. That's fine. So these languages are important to learn to develop highly sophisticated website. That's why these languages are included. So what kind of IDEs that have to be used as part of your practicals, or how to do these practical examples and these small things? NetBeans is a popular IDE which is used to develop this kind of highly sophisticated websites. Like NetBeans, we have so many IDEs. Like Eclipse is also one of the IDE. CodeBlocks is there, and of course, CodeBlocks is do not support for internet programming, but NetBeans is a very good IDE that we'll be using NetBeans as part of our practicals. And also, you should be able to configure application server and database server. As part of our syllabus, we'll be using the application server, Apache Tomcat. Apache Tomcat is one of the world famous application servers. Tomcat, the name is the Tomcat. As they belong to Apache industry, the name is given as Apache Tomcat. Okay, and the database server, we have an official license for Oracle. If not Oracle, we'll be using MySQL. So any database server we'll be using. So you should know all these languages, and you should know the IDE NetBeans and configuring Apache Tomcat and MySQL database server for deploying the applications. If you know all these things, then you can create a highly sophisticated web application. Right. The ultimate goal is to make you create highly sophisticated web application. The goal of the subject is this one, very simple. All right. So as I told you that I'm going to show you some world famous web applications as of now, since from many years, as of now, up to May 2020, the official information that I'm showing you. The popular web applications are Google. Google is a very, well-known web application that we regularly use Google search, and many products that are related to Google like G Suite, Google Drive, and everything. So all these are web applications that are related to Google. And YouTube is also a very popular web application. It's a video sharing web application. Amazon, used for shopping, e-commerce, and cloud computing services are also available with Amazon. It's one of the popular web application. IRCTC, we are proud that it is one of the Indian websites which comes under very world famous web applications. IRCTC is so famous because it has so much complicated, complex logic in it, and also during Tatkal time, that means so whenever you are booking ticket during Tatkal time, that means 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. in the morning. During that 2 hours, the expected, that means 40 million active users will be there at that particular point of time. So this count is too big for, I mean, at any given point of time for any other web applications, this count, these many number of active users will not be there. So that's why IRCTC is one of the complicated and complex, world famous applications as of now from our India. So 40 millions, that means 4 crores. 4 crores of people will be in active state in that particular. How many of them will get a ticket? It doesn't matter. But 4 crore active connections will be there at that particular point of time. That means 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. every day, every day. In case of festival, this count may go like Sankranti or some festivals, Dasara, this count will drastically increase. Right. And apart from that, above 4, we have Facebook, Netflix, well known. I hope you got the point. So you should have enough knowledge to develop such kind of web applications. Okay. So there is always one doubt for every internet programmer: what kind of technology has to be choose for to learn web technologies. I mean web programming. We have 3 alternatives: JSP, PHP, ASP. We have one more alternative called as Python, but that is out of scope as of now. I'm going to discuss about JSP, PHP, and ASP. PHP stands for preprocessor hypertext. It's an open source like Java. Java is owned by Oracle. That means JSP is owned by Oracle. PHP is an open source. So there is no ownership. It's an open source community. And ASP, Active Server Page, is owned by Microsoft. So out of these 3 technologies, anyone could be chosen to become a web programmer, a very good web programmer. Anyone could be chosen. So as of our syllabus is considered, we are learning JSP related things. So you need not worry. Once if you learn JSP, it's very easy to tune to PHP. Learning PHP is not a matter. Just like when you learn C language, how easy it is to learn Python, in the same way, when you learn JSP, very easily you can learn PHP. Vice versa. In the same way, you can also learn ASP. I mean, when you learn PHP, I don't guarantee you that you'll have that ability of learning JSP, because JSP has a lot. I mean, that is it has a very good background of Java. Is more powerful than PHP. So luckily we have a syllabus that is related to Java. So the recommendation is always Java. That is JSP. Right. I'll just explain you the types of architectures to make you understand better about this subject. I'll just consider one example. Let us imagine that you are running a finance company. Okay, you started a finance company with a very little number of employees, like 3 or 4, and a very little number of customers. So you have taken a small office, and you have decided to open a finance company, and you bought one computer because you have to store the information about the employees and about the customers. Okay, so after few months or after 1 year, imagine that your company has grown. Your company number of employees grown, and as well as the total number of customers are also grown. And you have observed that maintaining all the information at one particular computer is becoming too hard for you. So you have approached a software company for the solution, and the software company has given a solution like this. The solution is 2-tier architecture, where your software company has suggested you to use some client missions, as in the way I'm showing you here. So totally, there are 4 computers here: client 1, client 2, client 3, or simple computers, and there is a database server. Database server is also a mission, but it is a powerful mission. It's a computer mission, but a powerful mission. So totally 4 computers you bought, out of which 1 is server, which is powerful one. And all these are connected with a LAN connection, LAN cable. You could see the connection is made through a LAN cable. This is a LAN cable. And here you have hired an employees. Employees will try to submit the data to the database server and access all the data is stored in the database server. Okay. Here there are 2 tiers. This tier is called as database tier, and this tier, this client tier, this is called as client tier. It doesn't matter how many number of client missions are there. So it depends upon the type of business and the size of business that you are doing. The total number of client missions that I'm showing you here, 3. There is no such limitation. There could be millions of client missions also connected to a database server. So this is client tier, this is called as database tier, and the meaning of tier is group of services. Okay, so this simplifies your previous complexity where you have one mission, now you have different missions. So within your office, you can access the data, you can store the data, you can access the data. This is very much similar to like you are using a PuTTY software in your first year. You'll be connecting to a mission, a server, by providing the IP address. In the same way, the client 1, client 2, client 3 will be providing the IP address of the database server so that they can access the database, they can store the data into the database, they can do whatever. So within the office, accessing data is easy, and this is very much, this is very good approach than compared to the previous one. Now, let us imagine that your company has grown to multinational. That means now you wanted to establish branches in different cities, in different nations. At this moment, your two-tier architecture will not help you because you have to access the data outside the world. That means outside of your office premises. If you wanted to access, then simple LAN connection won't help you. You want something big, that is worldwide network. So here comes the solution. The solution is this one, three-tier architecture, also called as J2E architecture. J2E architecture is three-tier architecture. It is also called as multi-tier architecture, where there will be a client tier, which is very much similar to our previous one, and there will be a database tier, which is, this is also similar to the previous one. Additionally, you have an application tier. The middle one is an application tier. It is an interface between the client and the database. All the data is stored here, but the application logic, all the application programs are stored here. This is application server. Your database server example is MySQL, and here application server example is Apache Tomcat. Okay, in client you will have an interfaces. So as an example, being a finance company, you could have so many customers. The customers may be given some portal with username and password. When a customer has provided username and password to access their account to check their balance of your finance company from the account that is there in your finance company, username and password will be provided by the client. These credentials has to be checked by the program. It's an application program, right? You cannot directly give an access to the database. You have to check whether the user is correct user or not. Authentication has to be performed at the server side. I hope you got the point. All application logics has to be written at the application server. So there is no data in application server. Only application programs will be there. The logic that is required to access the data, that is kept at the server side. So all application programs are there in the application server. So this is the architecture that is in use nowadays. I mean, World Wide Web, WWW, follows this architecture. Okay, so all examples like Google, IRCTC, your Facebook, or WhatsApp, everything nowadays, whatever the application that you are seeing nowadays, all belongs to this, all are using this kind of architecture only, three-tier architecture. This could be sometimes called as multi-tier architecture also, both are same, right? I'm going to show you one important example where you will understand better about this subject. I mean, what exactly you have to do with the subject, how much depth is there, and what is the thing that is going on. You will understand with this simple example. Here I'm going to show you the difference between static web content and dynamic web content. I repeat, static web content and dynamic web content. Once if you understand this difference, you will get an enthusiasm to know much about this particular subject. Okay, right. Look at here. When you type www.gmail.com, you'll get this window. Whomever types, all the users will get the same window. Do you accept or not? Everybody. When I type www.gmail.com, I got this page. When you type, you'll also get the same page. Okay, so this page is common for all users. This page, this kind of page can be developed using only HTML alone. Not a problem, only HTML alone. Okay, so you have to create a text box and sign in text, and you have to display it. It's good, fine. Once the content is fixed, as content is fixed, this kind of web page is called as static web page. Static web pages are developed only by using HTML. No further logics are required to develop static web pages. Means static web page is an existing page. It is fixed, the content is fixed. Right here, as soon as you provide your credentials like username and password, once after signing in, you'll get a page. This page is different for every user. It's unique, it's different. And this page changes time to time. For an example, if I get a mail, immediately the page has to be changed. 100 mail will be shown at the top of your mail list in your inbox. It means that the content of this particular page gets changed from time to time. It is a very good example of dynamic web page. To develop this kind of dynamic web page, application programs are required, like servlet programming, JSP programming, or PHP programming, or ASP programming. Server-side programmings are required. I hope you got the point. We are here to learn server-side programming, not client-side programming. Client-side programming is very easy to learn. Server-side programming is also easy, but it takes time. A good practice is required to learn server-side programming. I hope you got the point of the difference between this page, the previous page, and this page. The previous page is a good example of static content. Here there is a dynamic content. That's why I mean, to develop these kind of web pages, every internet programmer has to do this one. I mean, they have to learn either JSP or PHP to develop these kind of web pages, this kind of web content. I mean, dynamic web content on the page. In order to develop this kind of content, one has to learn either JSP or PHP or any server-side programmings. So in your subject, once after learning all the technologies, you should be able to create these kind of pages with dynamic content time to time. Whenever there is a new entry arrives, the content of this page has to be updated. It means that, is this page already fixed? No. The content is already fixed? No. So dynamically this content is generated. That's why we call this as a dynamic web page. The content on the page is dynamically created. Time to time, that is created. Okay, right. The content is not fixed. That's why it is called as dynamic web page. Right. My conclusion is so simple. We are going to end up this session. The knowledge is very essential. The subject knowledge is very essential. Apart from this professional elective, you could also opt for other subjects as well. But it's my job to tell you the importance of this subject. I hope you understand the importance of this subject. The main goal of this subject is to make you design and develop highly sophisticated web applications like Amazon, like Netflix, or like Google, like YouTube. Like these kind of highly sophisticated web applications you have to develop by learning the technologies like HTML, XML, JSP, JDBC programming, additional things. I hope this demonstration is useful for you to decide whether to opt this subject or not. That's it. I'm signing off. Anything, I'd like to upload this video in YouTube and I'll share the link. And in case if you have any doubt, please leave comment in the comment section in the YouTube and I'll try to answer your queries. Thank you. Bye-bye. See you.